Hi guys, welcome back to this video. We're going to look today at creating DVDs from our edited video, following up on our editing video that we did recently. And first thing a few things we need to do first. First one's to get the software. So here we have at dvdstyler.org. Now this is a free piece of software which again is available for Mac and Windows platforms. So you can go ahead and download this free of charge, and it does do quite a decent job for a piece of free software. So once you get to the website, just head over to the downloads page, and here we have the Windows options and the Mac options, and you can ignore everything else. Now if you've got the option to download for 32 or 64-bit Windows, so whichever operating system you're on, you can pick the correct one and go with that. And once it's downloaded, just do a quick install. It's generic as per usual, so just follow that through, and we'll boot up the software and make a start. Okay, so once you've opened the software, you should get a screen that looks something like this. So we're going to go ahead and create a new project. Now I've got the disk label here, which is what the disk will be labelled. So if you put it into your PC, that's what the disk will be called in there. So we're working with the sample film still, so we're going to call it Cinefilm sample in this case. The capacity 4.7 gig. Now this is a standard DVD, so just leave that one set to default. Same again with the bit rates, just leave it to auto, and everything else. The last menu here for the post command. It's basically once the film's done, it'll return to the whichever menu you're using prior to playing the film. You could just leave that set. It's not a big deal. Now you've got the options here. Make sure you've got PAL selected, which is the UK format that we're working with. If you have your films transferred to standard definition, they might be in 4:3, which is the square aspect ratio. We're working with the HD file and shrinking that down, but it was a widescreen file, so we're going to select 16:9. We'll leave the audio format selected as is, and I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. This then brings up the template menu, or the menu options really, it should be called maybe, and for the first thing, the caption is actually the title that will be on the screen. So I'm going to call it the same thing again, Cinefilm Sample, and here you've got a whole bunch of templates to use for your menus and chapter pages, which again is really good for a free piece of software, but we're just going to pick something generic to work with on ours, because we're going to add some images and a few bits on there to personalize it a bit more. So I'm just going to click this one here. It doesn't highlight very well, but you should be able to see which one you're selecting. And once you've picked one that you like, just press OK. And there we are. So this is a basic menu. So you've got your title here, play button, chapter menu button. Here there's a load of backgrounds that we can use, and then a couple of tabs here for other things. So if you want to stick some fancy buttons on, or just browse through your files. And then down here are it's similar to a timeline. It's basically what we're working with. So the first thing we're going to do, go ahead and import the video. So we're going to right click. So right click, add file. And I've just put the bits and pieces for the DVD into a folder, so just to keep it tidy. So it's the Cinefilm edited file. It's the MP4 file we worked with, or exported, sorry, before. Click open, and it brings that in. Now, it is a HD file, an MP4 file. DVD works with MPEG-2. So what happens once we've set all this up ready to go? When we click go, it'll downscale the video to regular standard definition and convert it to MPEG-2. So you don't have to create the file specifically for DVDs at this point. As long as we can import it into here, it'll do the work for you. Keeps it nice and simple. Right, we're going to start on the front menu. In fact, the first thing we'll do, because same as with video editing, it can be a bit clumsome, and you do risk the chance of program crashing, which I'm sure will happen at least once during this recording. So we're going to go ahead, click File at the top here, click Save As. I'm going to go into our DVD folder. I'm just going to call it DVD, leave it named as DVD in there, and press Save. Okay, so I want to just spruce this up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is add an image to the background. To do that, I'm going to right click on the background itself and click Add and Image. And here I've just done a quick image, got a quick photo ready, just of Angela. I'm sure she won't mind me using it too much for the demo. Now, when you do make a photo for the background, just try and do it so oversized. It's oversized for the menu screen. So anything, say 1200 by 800, I'd be looking at doing something. Gives you plenty of room to play with. This one's actually 1200 by 675. Which I think is the correct size for 16 by 9 for what I'm working with. But as long as you do it big enough, it's better to be too big and shrink it down than not big enough and stretch it up, because that's when it starts to blur. So I'm just going to click Open. As you can see, it's too big for the menu at this point, and we do have some overlap. The play and chapter buttons are on top of the image, but the title's going behind it. So I'm going to right click on this and cut. And if I, what I'll do, and right click on the image and paste. And that has put it back on top. Yeah, think of it as like a layer. So the layers are stacked, so the image is now on the bottom, titles on top of that, and the play buttons are on there as well. I'm just going to quickly move this image into place. I do need to shrink it down, so if we just hover over the top corner there, you can see the arrows change to represent that you can scale that. Now, it will keep the ratio of the image correct, so you can't make it too tall or too skinny or whatever and squish the photo. I'm going to shrink it right down so it's too small, so I can put this in the top corner. It does snap into place, so you haven't got to be too fiddly. I'm just going to stretch that out to that corner, and that looks okay. But we do have the title at the minute is just overlapping Angela's face, so I'm going to start by changing the font, or changing the text a little bit. I'm going to darken the shadows as well, just to make it pop out a little bit more. So I'm going to right click on the title and go to Properties. I'll leave the title as it is, that's what we called it in the menu setup. I'm just going to pick another font. You can select any font that you like, whatever suits your taste. So you get this set up accordingly. Now, down here, your colours are here, so the minute it's selected, it's picked as white, which is exactly what I want. But if you want to change the colour, just click the box next to it, and then you can select a colour in here and apply that. There's an outline, options for outline colours, background colours, and so on. But there's the shadow. And what I'm going to do, oops, if you do click on the actual colour box, that switches it off and on. So you just want to click the two dots next to it. I'm just going to darken this a little bit more. And the offset is basically how far to the side, up and down, left and right you want the shadow to be. So at the minute it's sticking out to the right to pick two values, whatever it stands for, and it's down two values as well. And the deviation, I believe, refers to the size of the blur of the shadow. So I'm just going to half these pretty much. So 1, 1, and change that one to 2, and click OK. As you can see, it's just made that shadow a little bit more prominent. We're still overlapping Angela's face, so I could move the title up and out of the way, but it does make it go out of line with the buttons there. And you see this right, like a border here. That represents a title safe zone. So some televisions might not show the whole image. It's just overscan. If you just stick within this border, inside the border, and you're safe. Now, to combat this title, I'm just going to make the image a little bit bigger again, so I can move over to the right a little bit. Go up and down a little bit more as well. Sorry, I'm just being a little bit fiddly here. I'll just be quick. You can take as much time on this as you like. In fact, one thing you could do, just try and select everything. I think if you hold the Apple key or Control and then left click the items, it'll select everything. I'm just going to move it all over as one selection there. Right, Cine Film Sample, that's good. So the buttons now look a bit plain, so I'm just going to quickly change these as well. So right click, Properties, And the font again. Change this. Going to keep these a little bit smaller so the title stands out more. Change the shadow again. Oops. That's good. And then the next one. Right, now just below this what we've missed is the highlight colour. So at the minute it's changing to a light blue, which will actually work well in this case. I think the background image is quite dark, so it will stand out. Again, you can click and change that. So that's when you hover over a button, and when you select a button it changes this darker blue, which I don't think is too important because I don't think you get to see it for that long anyway. Now at the minute we've got play all and select title. Select title, I don't like the phrasing, so I'm going to change that to chapter menu. And I might just change this to play movie, just for the sake of change. Okay, so that's the menu done. I think we're happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and sort out this chapter menu now. And to do that, we're going to click the film down here. We're going to right click and go to properties again. And just underneath here we've got this chapters label with 0 on the clock. Not sure what that represents, but we're going to click the 2 dots over to the side here to bring up the options. And at the minute we've just got the one chapter which is starting at the beginning of the film. So we're going to go ahead and add another one. Now just click, make sure you select the new chapter before you change anything. And how chapters work, they're basically like bookmarks. And the menus are like an index of a book, and the chapters work as the page numbers, if you like. So if you've got 5 separate films in your movie, then you can make the beginning of each film a chapter point, so you can then jump between them. Or from the chapter menu screen, you can select a specific film to start from. It just organises things, and you haven't got to fast forward and rewind like you would on the old VHS tapes. You can just jump straight to certain points. If you want to show somebody a certain film, then it's easy to just get straight to it. So in our case on this video we never set anything up, but when you do set them up, just keep a note of the times on the timeline while you're editing. You're actually editing the film. If you just copy them, put them into a little text file, and then you can just copy it and paste them into here, and it'll jump straight to those points, and you can add the chapter point if you like. So make sure the new one's selected. I'm going to set that to about a quarter of the way in. And number 3, I'm going to make that halfway. Just another one, about 3/4. Not the most interesting images, but there we go. So I'm going to click OK. Right, so it's added the times into that little text box there, so it does make some sense now. And that's all done, so I'm going to click OK. Right, to set that menu up, before we go into it, we just need to move things around a little bit, because for some reason it doesn't like jumping to chapter points from within this box. So we're going to move, left click and hold, and move this menu over to the same box as the film itself. And that should then let it work, but let's just get in here. Right, so the first one's already set. So we'll right click on there and properties. So the first button is set up to go to title set 1, title 1. So the big box here is called title set 1, and the film itself is called title 1. But it has selected chapter 1 as to where to go to. And we're just going to click OK. So we'll select the second one. And this one, the weird continuation bug it's got, it changed its title to. I'm not sure why. So we're just going to set it back to title 1, which is the film, and we're going to set it to chapter 2. There we go. I'll just go back in there to show you this quick. So here, the look of the button, you can make your own image for each of these chapter points. If you select video, it will load up an image from the footage from the point you've selected. So just make sure that box is ticked. So go to number 3, properties, change that back to title 1, and we're going to chapter 3. So video is selected, so click OK and it will load that one up now. There we go. And number 4, it might look tidier to have done this one in the middle, but I'm just going to leave it as leave it to the left here. Chapter 4, video, and go. There we go. So that's the 4 chapters set up to go. We've got these 2 here. Just going to delete these quickly. Right click and delete. Because we've only got 4 chapters, we only use 1 chapter page. If you have a lot, then you might need to add more pages. So these 2 arrows are what you would use to be jumping, moving through to those extra menu screens. So because we don't need them, I'm just going to delete them. But same thing as before, if you just right click and properties, you select your menu that you want to go to in here. Quite straightforward. Delete that one. And then this one we'll use as the going back to the main menu screen. So we're going to jump to VMGM menu 1. So it's VMGM menu 1 right there. Just going to jump back to that. Okay, right, I'm just going to save this quickly again before it decides to call it a day. Make a start from scratch. Okay, right, so set up the menu, put the title in there, the play button, chapter menu, it's all styled nice. And just make sure these are linked up properly. So the chapter menu needs to go to there. So it's title set 1, menu 1. And the play movie needs to go to the movie, which I think is already set. So title set 1, title 1. That's all good. Go back to the check on the film, see what it's doing at the end there. So right click on the film again and properties, and something we've got to look at previously, call last menu. Basically when it gets to the end of the film, it'll go to the menu you was on when you started to play the film. So if you press play movie and watch it all the way through, it'll jump back to this main menu here. But if you selected the chapter point on the chapter menu and the film runs through to the end, it'll go back to the chapter menu. So that's all that is doing there. So that's all right. So click done. Everything looks good to go. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just make sure we save that one more time. We're going to click this disk icon here, or I believe you can go to File and Burn DVD. Now it's not actually going to burn DVD. We have to set it up first. So don't worry about everything being plugged in, ready to go. Once you click that, you get this little menu here. I believe when you first do it, you might have the preview ticked. Just switch that off. All that's going to do is pop it up to look at once it's generated. We don't need that. We use different software, so we'll explain that afterwards. Okay, so first thing we need to do is do a temporary directory. This is where all the files are going to be exported to before the final file is created or the final burn is done. So I'm just going to put this in our DVD folder. I'm going to make a new folder, call it temp, and select that. Okay, so we've got 13.2 gig free, and it only needs 0.4, so that's fine. And what I would advise doing is creating an ISO image. So it's basically the image of a disk. So when you do do the burn, you're basically doing a copy of the DVD. So I'm just going to select where this needs to go. Click the dots at the right. Okay, so I'm just going to call it DVD. That's fine. I'm just save it in a DVD folder. Not a problem. And everything is ready to go. So I'm going to press start, and hopefully this works. So it goes through a few stages. It's going to first generate the menu, which you can see it says it's doing here. So there's 2 menus, the main one and the chapters. After that, it needs to transcode the footage. So that's converting the video file from an MP4 HD MP4 file. It's going to bring it down to a standard definition MPEG-2 file, and then at the end it just needs to put everything together. Now we have only got a short film, so it's not going to take too long, just a couple of minutes. If you've got a huge film, then it's going to take a little bit longer to do the transcode. So it might be something worth doing again, where you can set it going and leave it running and come back to it later to finish it off. In terms of how much footage to put onto a DVD, we advise to stick to up to 2 hours. We try and keep it around an hour and a half mark, but 2 hours is absolutely fine. Much more beyond that, it has to start compressing the footage, so you will start to lose quality. Nothing too drastic initially, but it's just to be aware of it. In fact, down in the bottom right screen here, you can see it actually gives you an outline, 136 minutes. We're using 3 of that. So that's not a bad little guideline. And as we've said that, the generating was successful. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And when you do close it, it'll ask you there's X amount of footage used in the cache. The cache is basically where it's transcoded, it's converted the file, it's saved that onto your hard drive. It's asking if you want to clear that off if you don't need it anymore. We've already exported the file, so we don't actually need the cache. If you're going to be exporting a couple of times for whatever reason, then it's worth keeping those files, so it just makes the export a little bit quicker. Can get a little bit confusing, but I'd just clear it off. If you're just doing the one export, you can copy the DVD you've created, so you don't really need this anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and click yes to get rid. Okay, so now we've got this DVD.iso, and operating systems these days usually have a image mounter built into them. So if you just right click and make sure you're opening with an image mounter, I'm sure Windows is the same. I'm sure it will open an ISO file. We're just going to click that, and what it will do, it will open it up the same as it would if you actually put a DVD into your computer. So it's come up here in my devices, so the Cine film sample, and there's the DVD files. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up my DVD player on here just to make sure it works okay. It recognised the DVD was already in, so it's opened that already. Right, so we've opened it up in our DVD player. However, DVDs have a weird copyright restriction thing with screen recording software. So it's coming up as a blank screen at the moment, but I can assure you it's working okay. Just had a quick look through it, works okay, but I'm not going to be able to preview it in this video because the DVD player software is making the screen blank on purpose for copyright reasons, which is all, as soon as I stop recording, the image comes up fine. And the only thing you need to do from this point really is look at getting it onto disk. Now, on a Mac, I'm just going to go back to the folder, we can just right click and burn the DVD ISO to disk. Obviously you need to have a DVD recorder on your computer or an external one plugged in for it to do that, on a blank disk. And you set that going, and I believe, so on a quick Google, Windows 7 on upwards has a ISO manager built in, so you can burn that as well. So we just did a quick search on Google, burn ISO on Windows, and it came up with this page from Microsoft. Tip to burn a disk image from an ISO file. So basically, place the DVD into your CD drive, right click on the file, which is like what we've just done, and click burn disk image. Next, select the device that you want to use to burn the disk. So you just select your CD drive as the burner. It's usually either D or E drive, but you'll probably know better than me. Once it's burnt, you'll have the option to verify the disk, where Windows will just go through the disk and make sure it's all burnt properly. To be honest with you, once it's burnt, so there's no options to amend the disk unless you're using a re-recordable disk. So I would tend to switch the verify off because it does take a little bit of time, and once your disk burnt, it's pretty much useless anyway. So if there are any problems, you need to do it again. Anyway, so once that's done. So that should then be burnt onto DVD. Stick it in your DVD player on your telly and have a watch of that. But that's pretty much how to build a quick menu and get your edited file onto DVD. I hope this video has helped. Thanks again for watching, and we shall see you in the next one.